really willing to try a new skill that we would ask them to do. And like the last group said, giving them positive feedback and like talking them and cheering them on, giving them stickers, all of those are really good incentives for them to keep trying, especially after the skipping, because skipping was one of the skills that were the hardest for them to do. So just by being positive and reinforcing their skills, it just made them want to keep at least trying. But yeah, most of them have really good self-esteem and none of them seem shy as far as just the kids that we were dealing with. They were all pretty willing to do whatever we asked them to do.
And then we didn't really notice the difference between the 3-year-olds and the 4-year-olds. They were all kind of in the same boat. They either knew how to do it or they really didn't. I don't think there was much of an age gap to look at their developmental motor abilities. But the girls were definitely more willing to help, and they were a lot calmer, and they were a lot more rhythmical, especially with skipping, with Alex, and leaping. It was much more rhythmical and much more calm, and they understood it, like how the gymnastics group said the boys just kind of want to throw themselves into it. That's again kind of what they did. It went full force when the girls really took the time to understand and learn new techniques or just do it. And then we just noticed that they were more rhythmical and they are swifter and they're more smooth.
And then the last thing we noticed was working with the kids in groups. The boys really wanted to all work with each other, but then again, they were also huge distractions for each other. So in order to get them, we tried to get them all in a group, but then they would all just distract each other, so it was really hard to get their attention. And with the girls, it's a lot easier to do one-on-one, and they were more engaged with what we had to say. So definitely working in groups for the boys was positive, but it also was negative in ways because it was more distracting. And then working with the girls one-on-one. So I would say next time it would be better if we could work with each kid one-on-one.
Also, if we were to do this study again, it would be really nice to have more space and longer distances to evaluate them. We would want to see how their movement changes in longer distances and continuous movement. Like if you noticed, Jathan, when he was skipping, he skipped around in a circle, but that movement consistently changed. So it would be nice to see how the movement does change through the continuous movement. That is the end of our presentation, so we hope you guys enjoyed everything. Is there any questions?
Or comments, class?
Is it hard to get the kids to like want to participate and start like doing the actual like skipping and things like that?
We talked, so we were saying Haley's really good with kids. So she was really good at just being able to go up there and grab a kid and get them to be involved. And it was also useful when we had incentives.
Yeah, skipping and leaping I don't think was their favorite activity.
Yeah,
so it was really hard to try to get them to come over and do it for us. Or they'd do it really quick and then they'd run off again, so it was really hard to keep them over with us. But yeah, we used incentives. We used stickers one day and then we used bubbles another time, and bubbles were a bigger hit. But they asked us if we bring up balloons like the other class did and stuff like that. So that kind of, was like,
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I was telling this kid if he could skip for me, and he skipped a little bit, and then he just like skipped and like ran away, and like I don't know where he went after. So it was really hard to keep them like focused, but they were really good with our incentives.
All right, I have a couple questions. You were talking about, let's say Jacob there, and you listed him as elementary because he didn't use his arms in his skipping. Did you tell him to use his arms?
I think that was the trial.
So
We taught him after the elementary stage, but we used Alex in our mature stage just because
Okay.
she understood it. But we did teach him, but that was, Jathan, can you skip? And
so that was the assessment.
Yes, that was you know how to skip, and he just, if you notice in the videos, everything that he did was behind his back. So when he was sliding and galloping, his hands were back here.
Okay, so eventually, did he move out of elementary or he stayed in elementary?
He would go back and forth, honestly, because I think he was a little bit shy. Like we talked to you about him. He would do it for a second, like when you asked him to. If you ask him to do anything, he just does it. But then as soon as he can go back to being in a shell, I think that's what he likes to do. So.
Okay, and then you guys saw some pretty distinct differences between boys and girls. What do you attribute that to?
Well, it just seemed like, I don't know what it would be attributed to. Maybe because girls just have a easier tendency to keep rhythm.
Oh, so possibly genetic is what you're saying?
Possibly.
I think girls are also easily taught that they want to learn.
And boys are
I think when we work with the boys in the group, they're just like, no, I don't want to do it. They're like, kids all slide together. And in our sliding video, one of them was running, one of them was sliding, one of them was galloping. They just kind of went for it. And the girls, I think they just,
They listened
Got
more,
it.
and they would actually watch us when we would demonstrate it, and I think they would try and do what we were doing, as opposed to the guys who kind of were like, oh, let me just do it, and maybe that's why.
Okay, do you understand that if this was a public meeting right now, you guys are really politically incorrect? I mean, to say that there's a difference between these and that girls are smart, no, that they're more likely to listen to those kind of. So all I'm saying now is keep that in mind when you see the throwing group. Yep.
What I noticed is we were next to throwing and hitting, and with boys, those are more,
Ballistic.
yeah, and so boys were more interested in that, and so we were right next to there, whereas I think if we were located somewhere different, next to gymnastics or something that wasn't so engaging, where it took kind of all of our kids we were trying to recruit away from us, we could have maybe had more success.
Okay, but yeah, and no, it's all good, and that was really good to include the environment in which you're trying to teach. But the other bigger thing that I mentioned earlier, and it meant more to me than to you until now, is that the books will say, the research will say, that if there's a difference, the girls tend to enjoy rhythmicity more. And I mean, have you been to a softball game and those girls are doing all these things? You don't see guys doing that at baseball, right? And that things that are more power, you know, ballistic, tend to have more guys appeal. And that's as much as the research says. And seriously, some people think that's just the most horrible thing in the world to say there's any difference between genders. Personally, I see a ton of difference between genders, but you need to be careful when you say these things and think about them, whether you're offending people. Well, that's good. Thank you.